It's like your 4th of July fireworks. Bright, loud, and hated by the neighbors. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. And Mackie, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You're considered a man's man.
I'd argue you might get shot if you escape, so it's not like it's all that better.
Trump meant something. Biden meant something else.
It's really hard for people to expect people to not to come and want a free stuff if you make it clear that if they come, they're going to get a bunch of free stuff.
Exactly.
The name, obviously, Alligator Alcatraz does a lot of work.
Yes.
This is not a name that was given with the expectation that people would not go,
yes.
Because when you hear it, it does sound like they're going to be doing, like, Squid Game with the migrants in there.
Yes.
It's not that.
And you know,
it's not that. I mean, there's air conditioning.
Yes.
From what I've read. It's not that. But what were you going to say?
I was going to say
he gets to say, when you make it sound like that, he gets to say, well, listen, really what it is we're saving money on the perimeter.
Yeah.
But that's not as catchy as Alligator Alcatraz. Now, thankfully, you can be someone who doesn't want to see people who are working get deported. And Joe Rogan was talking about that recently. People who are peaceful. And I think most people are like that. But then there are those uber progressives, obviously, who they need to find a way to victimize even violent criminals. And those people obviously should be roundly mocked.
Yes, exactly. Tyrus,
here's the thing. There is a boardroom somewhere. Let's just ass right, and occasionally you do see an alligator.
Yes, you do.
But I'm saying now I'll suit.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, my leg was bitten off by a crocodile.
Out of this amazing story.
You know, it's like the same people who told you that Joe Biden is sharp as a tack.
You know, I honestly think that this must be very difficult for Leah Thomas. Notice I didn't say hard because he couldn't handle that.
Yes.
He would be like,
Oh, yeah. Like,
I was careful
like
there.
You know, there's a show
just
going
the way
on,
we
kids.
talked about.
Yes.
So it must be difficult because this was so clear. Really pushed too far for so long that this was inevitable. Where it was, if you have any concern or any question about whether somebody who went through male puberty might have an advantage against biological women in sports, then you were a transphobe or a horrible, hateful person. No matter how many scientific studies showed that, yeah, this does make a difference, this is an unfair advantage. But what they successfully did for a while is make a lot of people so afraid. Of course, yes, of course, because they were too afraid. But quietly, most people are like, this kind of doesn't look like, this is not, like,
he was the worst example for
I think that the issue for a lot of people is that this wasn't zero sum anymore.
Yeah.
Where people felt like, okay, if you want me to call you she, her, that doesn't cost me anything, that's fine. But when you are competing and you have an unfair advantage, that's not zero sum anymore.
Right.
And it's no surprise that this eventually happened. It took a few more people to say, hey, I don't know, but a lot more people were saying it quietly to their friends all along. They were just too afraid to say it out loud.
And I'm going to blow our own horn here, Tyrus. People started saying it, but we were there first, man. We were.
People by just like weird clothes and a lot of colors. And I think that's even more pathetic than being like actually shocking and actually controversial.
They should do the same treat.
You just want to put kill meat in a dress.
Yes.
That's what you want to do. I don't know. It's just there's nothing lamer than trying, because if you're controversial, so what should be controversy if you get like caught saying something that you didn't think about, that's just you being yourself. But this is lame.
Yeah, it is lame. You know,
and we were still confused of why. Young, strapping 40-year-old, she wants to come back to you because suddenly you're.
They really do.
You know,
Look how much like space that feather thing in the back's going to take up.
Yeah.
but they're all bald, so it doesn't really matter.
You know, I think they're ignoring a huge good-looking people.
Give me the cast of my 600-pound life. Get the top. Now you do look like a Miami Vice subplot villain.
For so many reasons. First of all, you can't tell if a person's hot by looking at them. Like, you can maybe tell if they're ugly, but you might think someone's hot. It's happened to everyone. Then they open their mouth and you're like, ugh. It's definitely, there's so much more than physical appearance when it comes to whether someone's hot or not. Second of all, if you are going to restaurants to find people to have sex with, you are a sex
Where did that
pest.
come from?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. If I'm eating at a restaurant and someone comes up to me and asks for my phone number, I'm going to be like, did you just get out of the mental hospital? That is not a normal way to behave. That is not a normal way to behave.
But I'm just wondering. You look at 2024 at this time, 2023 at this time, 2022 at times. Yeah, I mean, when one of your friends kills yourself.
For you, and I'm glad that I get to be the one to tell you this.
What?
So the bees don't kill you, but you know what happens if they sting you?
What?
You can get diarrhea.
Oh, this could
Your
be
badge. You missed it.
Yeah,
Your badge on the
who's
table.
the poo detective now, bitch?
Yeah.
Thank you, America.
bees
so
that
these should
give
be
you
called
diarrhea.
bees.
They should be called diarrhea.
Here, you know, then the killer hornets were coming. They were giant. And they were going to wipe everything out, but.
Herpes bees. Cat Timpf, Tyrus, our studio